We are having some technical difficulties getting through this video today on the FGC on NBC. If you like the videos, like, sub, silly comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it. Thanks. Super chat, PayPal, Patreon, super comment the video. Again, that helps the channel if you want to. So we're going to be talking about Marvel Tokon versus 2XKO. And I got a couple of comments recently, and we'll talk about those. We got the Jedi Outcast 804. This guy really likes the Shyla theme. I think he posts that a lot on my channel. 2XKO has better gameplay than Tokon, he says. And then we have the Yorkie 4295. Hopefully this isn't this dude's password. Isn't the fact that fighting games are two characters, a background, and some music inherently limiting? Is it narrow-minded to say there isn't a ton of space left to explore? I'm going to guess this guy probably doesn't watch a lot of my videos because I've commented on this many times before that, yes, it is hard to make something new in a fighting game because, generally speaking, unless it's a tag team game, it is just two characters, a background, and some music, right? So one of the only new things you can do in a fighting game is try to create a new system, right? Which I've said many times before, Dragon Ball Fighter Z, is a drop ball in the fighting game space because the system actually allows there to be a new character archetype in the game, which is something that is generally not possible in fighting games anymore, right? But that was actually a potential possibility in a game like Dragon Ball Fighters, right? I've also talked about, if you watch my game theory videos, stuff I would do if I was changing Street Fighter to actually allow new things to do, right? To allow there to be new ideas so that characters still play in non-homogenized ways, right? However, if we're talking about something like Marvel Tokon versus 2XKO, one of the things I've also said many times before is tag team games are inherently easier to make new things for because that the game is a tag team game and it's not just one character. You have more excuses to have characters that go off in completely opposite directions, because then the other person on your team or other characters on your team can then compensate for some character having a extreme strength and an extreme weakness, right? It's actually easier to make new things in a tag team game, right? So this is why when I talk about something like 2XKO versus Marvel Tokon, if we're thinking about 2XKO has better gameplay than, let's say, Tokon, whatever it is, if that's what you want to say, you have to remember that 2XKO is a game that has been being promoted as the god, the savior of fighting games, right? Made by the greatest minds in fighting game history. It's going to do all this stuff that's never been done in fighting games. It's been praised to high as hell and had been getting jacked off all over the place, right? Despite actually not doing any of this stuff, right? And supposedly it's catering to a casual audience. It's going to bring in all these people, right? Marvel Tokon is a game that's supposed to be easier to be bringing in a casual audience. So I guess we could say, if we're quotation marks gameplay, what is better or whatever like that, I actually think, even though, you know, I've talked about Marvel Tokon a little bit, I don't think Marvel Tokon looks amazing, but I think there's actually an argument to be made that Marvel Tokon actually is accomplishing the assignment of bringing in a casual audience better than 2XKO, right? The game, seemingly pretty simple, right? The depth of the game is how you tag in and out of the other character, right? Because it's actually very generous in terms of calling the assist hits, you start to combo the guy again, just like I said, and then you can still then hold the button down, or I've never played the game, so I don't know how you actually then play that character, but hold down the button, whatever it is, the assist, and then you start playing as the assist, whatever it is. Maybe you press a button again. Again, I don't know. I've actually never played it, but just when I was looking at the footage, right? It's very generous in terms of calling an assist and then playing as the assist and doing mix-ups, high-low, whatever, combo routes, whatever. The combo system, very simple, right? Has a very kind of easy to understand gimmick of when you call the assist that, you know, that's one of the things that resets the tech buffer, right? The game seems pretty easy to understand, right? Now, you say 2XKO is better. And again, this isn't me saying that you shouldn't play 2XKO, right? Again, I say you can watch any of my haters, right? I will never support the game, of course, myself, right? Because why would I ever support a game that is made by people that have jacked themselves off to high hell despite never accomplishing anything? A team that is full of people that have openly joked about me dying and how funny it is, right? Also a team that is many people in it that I used to help, right? I mean, why would I support a game like this, right? But again, I'm not telling you not to play it, but would I ever support it? No. But you could say that, let's say that maybe the combos look more fun in 2XKO, right? All right, I guess, right? I mean, you could say that, right? But are there actually new ideas in 2XKO? And you have to understand that that's one of the things, if we look at this image right here, if we look at the peaceful pondering Clayton of Peace, look at me right there. I'm pondering. These are one of the things that actually interest me in fighting games, right? As someone that's been in fighting games for a long time, someone that's discovered more tech in fighting games than anyone else in the history of fighting games, predicted the meta of fighting games more than anyone else in the history of fighting games, right? I like new ideas. That's something that still kind of keeps me interested in fighting games, right? Even though I don't really play them anymore, right? I like seeing new ideas, right? And 2XKO, right? I just don't see new ideas there, dude. I'm not going to give a company credit for a game being made almost 10 years. And I've said this so many times before, excuse me, that I would actually be infuriated. I would be furious. I would be infuriated by some of the things that I've read in the 2XKO interviews. For them to say that the first 3 years of the game don't count as development because it was just R&D and they had to come up with all the special moves themselves and the character designs, I would be absolutely infuriated that if I was paying a group of people money to make a new fighting game and I gave them all the character designs and special moves on a silver platter, and then they go in public interviews and say that they had to make everything themselves, all the special moves, all the character designs from scratch. And that the first 3 years don't count as development because the first 3 years were just research and development. You just said the word. Are you an idiot? And I'm paying this person? I would be infuriated. And then in other interviews, okay, well, the first 3 years were just research and development, so that doesn't count as development, which doesn't make sense when you just said the word yourself. And then like, oh, well, the last 4 years we decided to make it a tag team game. So those other years in between that first 3 years that didn't count, and then a few years that didn't count because it was a 1-versus-1 game, and now only the past 4 years they decided to make it a tag team game, and I'm paying these people, I would be furious. And it's easier to come up with new things. And then in another interview, they're like, or the recent interview, they're like, well, our game is different than every other game because no other fighting game company actually listens to people. Maybe you have to listen to people because you haven't actually had any new ideas. It just seems like all your ideas are just taking from other games, throwing it at a wall, and then jacking yourself off and giving it credit while you take from everybody else. I mean, you are a team that I've showed before. You can look at the private messages. This is a team that has actually asked me for help before, right? And then this is a team that openly jokes about me dying. I mean, I'm sorry. You're just never going to see me give them credit for something like that. I don't know why you would give them. I would be, you as a person that plays fighting games, I would hope that you would be furious too. Now, you could say again at the end of the day, this guy says 2XKO has better gameplay than Tokon. That could very well be possible. I'm not telling you not to play the game, right? The combos could be more fun for you, right? Who's messaging me? She's a cutie, but she will wait. I'm yapping about video games right now. Where was I? The combos could be more fun in 2XKO. Maybe some way this mix mash hot pot of just taking ideas from everybody else while giving themselves credit for it. Maybe once all is said and done in the game, maybe you will have fun with it, right? But you know what? for this person right here, we'll zoom in on them right here. The Peaceful Pondering Clayton of Peace. That one of the only things that still makes me curious about fighting games is if they can come up with something new. There's just nothing new in 2XKO that I see. Now, Marvel Tokon, even though it's boring, do you know something that fascinates me a little bit and makes me a little bit curious? As I said before, I'm a little bit curious as how the Guilty Gear guys, the Arc System guys, are going to remake these Marvel characters and try to make them fresh and different. That is something that I give credit to the Arc System guys, that even though there's a lot of foundational problems in the games they make nowadays, look at a game like Strive. I said before, I was like, I think they're focusing on the system, and the system is not going to be that great. But you're going to see that I can see that these characters, they still have cool new ideas for characters. And Strive is a game that still has amazing characters. They're still doing fun and interesting things with all the characters. Quotation marks, all the characters, most of the characters, right? Even Marvel Tokon, although, the gimmick, and I've said this before, and I said this right, my knee-jerk reactions to the game, I was like, it looks like the gimmick is you obviously get your tag team characters, whatever, right? But that's inherently tied to the combo system because it's actually, you can see that it resets the tech buffer even if the assist isn't hitting, right? So that's why I said, and I know it's a little bit convoluted, that's why I said I wish there was just something a little bit different where maybe certain characters had a different flow chart of their assist, where maybe one character, their first assist always is their horizontal kind of assist. Maybe one character, their first assist always is their anti-air assist. Maybe one character, their first assist always is their versatile assist, some kind of unique special assist, right? Just something to make it a little bit different. And I even said maybe something like before the match, you say, let's look at it here. Let's say we got 3 screens right here, right? You start off in the middle screen right here, right? Say you got your 2 characters here, right? Every character starts with 2 characters. Well, maybe before the match, you're thinking about a match like, well, fuck. Maybe I'm going to put my tag team guy here first. Maybe one guy's like, well, I'm going to put my tag team guy here first. Maybe a balanced approach. Maybe one guy's like, well, I'm going to put both my guys here because I'm going to pray that we can get it, right? But then maybe, I accidentally broke this wall first here and I put my first guy here. Oh, well, maybe I broke my first wall here, but actually my other guy was here, right? Some kind of extra layer, like maybe you could have even had something like, hey, the first stage you can see you're fighting in the streets. Maybe you have a smash attack that, oh my God, we do a smash attack and that makes us fight up here then. And that's where a partner is. Now we have a stage here where both walls, we are just wall splatters here. So then we're going to have to knock ourselves down here to get back down here. And then we would have to go left and right. So again, maybe there could have been another layer to the stages. You have a rooftop part of the stage where you could have placed your player, right? I just wish there would have been an extra layer to how you build your team. Personally for me, right? Because I think that would have made it a little bit interesting. But at least what I can say is when you look at the potential there, and of course you have wall splats that, also reset the tech buffer. Although again, the game is kind of limited and it's kind of boring, right? Because you reach that tech buffer too quickly. And so it's almost like, but you got to find the assist. And like I said so many times before, I know it's a little bit convoluted, but I wish that every character didn't have the same flow chart for the assist. So there should have been some other layer. On some level, what I'm saying here is that it gets my brain thinking, right? Do you get what I'm getting at? It makes my brain think a little bit that there's an idea here that they could have explored a little bit more. Whereas when I look at a game like 2XKO, there's not any new ideas. It's just taking from other games, taking from this system and hoping that it works out. All while giving themselves credit for stuff they haven't done. Oh my God, well, hey, you got to give us credit because no other team has ever listened to, people that play unlike us. Maybe you got to listen to people because you've showed you've had no unique ideas yourself. Now, maybe once you play the game, maybe the combo system is going to be more fun for you, something like that. But I just don't, it's not like making my brain feel curiosity, right? And for them to and they jack themselves off for not, I mean, they jack themselves off for supposedly doing all these things that aren't true. And it puts a bad taste in your mouth, you know? Like example, again, we'll use me. It is my channel. Obviously, I'm going to talk about myself. Imagine if I was like, obviously, if I was saying, hey, Clayton, oh, he talks about in his videos that he's found more tech in fighting games than everyone else in history. And then you're like, oh, fuck, we looked at his channel. Oh, God, he does. Right? Oh, Clayton says he's predicted more meta of fighting games than anyone else in the history of fighting games. And you look at his channel, or you look at my channel, you're like, oh, God, he has, right? That's why people have to lie about me because, oh, please don't watch Clayton because you'll find out that everything he says is true. And then, oh, God, well, maybe you watch his channel, but trust me, he's a bad person. Please believe me, blah, 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 right? Now, on the flip side of that, imagine if I was saying that I found all this stuff in games that no one else has ever found in games, blah, blah, blah. And then you check my channel and you're like, oh, well, no, he hasn't. That's old. Oh, he hasn't done that stuff, blah, 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 right? Imagine if you actually looked at the stuff I said and you held me to some standard, to some scrutiny, and then you're like, oh, well, it's actually not true, right? That's kind of how I feel about this 2XKO. It's like, okay, it's nice for you to talk about that you've done all this stuff, that you've like, oh, you have the greatest minds in fighting game history. But if you actually look it up, you're like, well, you guys haven't done that stuff. You're not doing this stuff, right? You're not provoking my curiosity of what is possible in a game. And I've said many times before, I've made videos about what I would do in a tag team game to actually put a new perspective on it, right? So again, I'm not telling you not to play 2XKO, and the game could come out and it could be more fun to play than Tokon. But you know what? It's not, for me personally, it's not thought-provoking, and it's even worse when it's full of a team that is comprised of people that are fraudulent to absolutely evil fucking people. Now, Marvel Tokon, again, there's actually a little bit of curiosity there because the Guilty Gear people have showed that they can make cool new characters, right? The system is a little bit different, right? Oh, well, I want to get my team because that's how you are, resetting your tech buffer. And then once I break the wall also lets me start to reset the tech buffer. It kind of makes me think, well, there's a little bit of an idea here. I think they should have, had another area to the stage where like, oh, maybe I break the wall up here. Well, maybe that's where I put one of my people, right? Because I did the down hard slash or whatever it is. Again, I've never played the game, but I did my launch attack. And then when I launched the guy, boom, now they're right here. And now we're up here. And now maybe the upside of the stage, there's 2 walls on each side to reset the tech buffer. But maybe, I still got to get my other partner. So now I want to smash them down. I want so there's a certain attack that smashes them down. So now I have a partner here. Do you see that there's a little bit of an idea here that could have been expanded more? And that's why I say when I use the Dragon Ball FighterZ example, Dragon Ball FighterZ is an example that there's a system in the game that is new, that had potential for a new character archetype. And that is something that you can't do in every fighting game. And that's why it's a drop ball. But it still is a little bit thought-provoking to me, right? 2XKO is not thought-provoking to me as it is. The biggest thing that is thought-provoking to me is that people actually defend the game when you should be insulted. Listen, you don't need, now obviously I don't know. Well, you could say that there could be, if the people on the team are willing to joke about me dying publicly on their own Twitter and about how funny it is, you could assume they probably would talk shit about you as well. But at least think about this from a consumer, and before people say that the game is free, guess what? Fightcade is free too. So you could play Fightcade. Right. But I would think on some level you have to be insulted that they're getting paid by $1 billion company, whatever it is, to make a game. And they've been sitting on their ass for 10 years, basically, at this point. And every time they supposedly have a new idea, it's just actually from another game. I mean, this is a team that said 3 years of research and development when all the character designs were already there for them. All the special moves were there for them. Could the game come out? Could it be more fun? Maybe you will have more fun with the combos. But if you are the picture right here, if you are the peaceful Clayton of peace, I want to see new things. I want a game to spark curiosity in me, right? Even I made that video talking about Serlin recently. Serlin's idea for Street Fighter is absolutely retarded. But you know what? On some level, even though it doesn't work and it sounds stupid that you would be slowing down the game, resetting the game over and over again, I guess I got to at least give the guy props that it made my brain think that this doesn't make any sense, but at least he's thinking outside the box, right? Now, obviously, I wouldn't go with his idea, but it shows he's actually trying to come up with something a little bit new. And although I'll give him a grain of salt credit for trying to think of something new, even if it's a terrible idea, at least it'd be like, okay, Serlin, you know what? At least you tried to come up with something new. Try again, but you're thinking outside the box. Does that make sense? If you like the videos, like, sub, silly, comment, share, support the channel if you can. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.